What's going on, everybody? Welcome back, man. Weekend Warrior back again. So today we're gonna talk about how to get promoted. Today is part one of a three-part series where I'm gonna break down what you need to get promoted in the Air Force Reserves. Now, the reserves are different from active duty and from the National Guard. Like, even if you go through and pull up the AFI, which I'll have down here highlighted for you, you'll see that the reserves has their own section. This is part one. We're gonna talk about junior enlisted. That's E1 through E4. Part two is gonna be E5 and E6. And part three is gonna be your senior NCOs. That's E7, E8, and E9. Now, I'm not gonna talk about things like command chief or first sergeant, which is, command chief is the star, first sergeant the diamond, or the chief man. Those are specialty things. If you in that level, you ain't coming to me for help. You want to go to somebody and get chain of command. They're going to help you get there if you're even eligible, selected, or something like that. So today we're going to go over that junior enlisted tier, that's E1 through E4, and what they need. First off, how do you get promoted? There are 4 ways to get promoted in the Air Force Reserve. There's unit vacancy, there's step 1, there's step 2, and there's other. Now, the vast majority of promotions in the Air Force Reserve are going to be through unit vacancy. So that's what we're going to focus on because that's the one that happens most often. Now, just as a heads up, step 1 and step 2 are for like E6 and above. So that's not even applicable to the junior enlisted. And other is going to be for like fringe cases that don't fit into the other 3. So like your Medal of Honor, if you were missing in action, posthumous, which is like after death or post-mortem, those are typically not going to apply to you. Those are very unique circumstances. And if you fall into one of those, first off, step 1 and 2 was for E6 and above. So they ain't a problem for you. As far as other, those are very unique circumstances. And again, you won't be coming to a guy on YouTube for how to get a promotion if you fall into one of those categories. So just want to get that out there. The most common one is unit vacancy. That's what we're going to focus on. So what is unit vacancy? I've got notes here. So unit vacancy just means that when you want to be promoted, there has to be a slot for you to move into. See, every unit has something called a manning document. And all it says is how many people the unit is allowed to have at each rank. That's why you may see that like someone going for like the rank of Chief Master Sergeant, you may only have a few slots to move into. Like my unit has somewhere over like 200 people. We only have 3 chief slots. So that means if somebody wants to become a chief, there's only 3 spots in my unit. So if we have like 20 senior master sergeants, which were somewhere in the teens, there's only 3 spots for a chief. So if you're at that higher tier, the higher up you go, the fewer spots you are. The fewer spots there are available to you. That's something to be mindful of as the further up in the ranks you go. So now that you know what unit vacancy is, you want to be promoted, you need a spot to go into. One of the reasons why this matters is larger units like mine, that's usually not a problem. We may have like dozens of staff and tech and your master sergeant slots. So as long as you have all your stuff squared away, finding an open spot isn't that difficult. Now, some of your smaller shops, your smaller jobs, like let's say you're a load master, those are typically much smaller units. They may be a dozen people or less. If you want to get promoted, there may only be 1 tech sergeant spot in your whole unit. So if you guys have a tech sergeant and you want to be a tech sergeant, that current tech sergeant has to get out of that spot so that you can move into it. Now, how they move out of that spot, they can get promoted, they can leave, go to another unit. Either way, that spot got to be open so that you can move into it. So there has to be a unit vacancy. That's one of the advantages of a larger unit. There's almost always vacancies. Like my unit, when someone gets promoted, it's never, do we have a spot for you? Unless it's like E8 or E9, one of those really high tier ones where the spots are very limited. The lower ranks are plentiful. Now, what are the good news for you junior enlisted? Unit vacancy don't matter for you. I went through all that crap telling you what it is, and it don't matter. For E1 through 4, unit vacancy is not even a consideration. Because the way we figure it, those are kind of gimmies. Every unit just has a whole bunch of them. No one's gonna say we gotta wait for a senior airman to leave. Nah, E1 through E4, unit vacancy ain't even a problem. As long as you meet all the requirements and you don't have any of the disqualifiers, which I'm gonna move into shortly, it's yours. You ain't gotta wait for nobody to move out the way so you can move up. That's good. It's like that. You shouldn't have to wait for somebody so I can be forever to get promoted. It's ridiculous. Now we know the 4 ways to get promoted. Who actually promotes you? This may seem pretty simple and straightforward, but for E1 through 4, E4, your commander promotes you. You'll know who your commander is. They're gonna make it very clear who your commander is. Probably a guy or gal who's gonna be a light colonel, a full colonel, lieutenant colonel, while I'm speaking on that. You may hear people call a lieutenant colonel a light colonel. Don't ever call your lieutenant colonel a light colonel. It's not derogatory, but it's not as respectful. You always want to come with the maximum amount of customs courtesy you can, be as respectful as possible. Good morning, Lieutenant Colonel so-and-so. They may tell you, hey, Colonel so-and-so is fine. Usually a lieutenant colonel doesn't have a problem being called colonel. But for conversation purposes, if you're talking about multiple colonels, you may hear someone say light colonel as opposed to lieutenant colonel, and they'll call like the other colonel, like an 06 colonel, a full bird colonel. So you may hear me say in videos light colonel, full bird, and that's just for distinction because I'm just saying it. But when you're speaking to your commander, especially because you're the new guy, you want to make sure that you are as respectful as possible. Good morning, Lieutenant Colonel, whatever, Jon Snow. I don't know what your commander's name is going to be. Or always make sure to use the full thing. Now, speaking of who can promote you, who can disprove your promotion. Obviously, your commander can say, no, I'm not promoting you. If they do, per the reg, they have to tell you in writing why they're not promoting you. And I'll put down the page of it in there because I find that not a lot of people know that or adhering to it. But per the AFI, if you're in the Air Force Reserve, your commander says, I'm not promoting you, they have to give it to you in writing. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put that on the screen probably somewhere in this area and highlight it and like zoom in on it so that you can know that it's there. And I'll even say the page number so that you're aware. That to me, I believe that's put in there as like a catch-all or like a fail-safe. So if you're not progressing, you don't know why you're not progressing. Now, as far as, now we know your commander can disprove your promotion, say, hey, I'm not promoting you for X, Y, and Z. Who else can disprove your promotion? Any commander in your chain. So like, let's say your commander says yes, but then like your group commander says no. They have the right to do that. And then maybe your wing commander says no, or any commander in your chain of command. That's anyone that's like a commander between your commander and I think like president or something can disprove your promotion. Now, never have I ever heard of like a group or wing commander stepping in and say, that E2 is gonna stay in E2 because of X, Y, and Z. Never heard of it. Per the reg, they can do it. Never heard of it. I'm just giving y'all everything so you know. And the reason why I bring that up is because you're the new guy. You fresh on the base. You probably don't know up from down or what goes where. And anyone can disprove your promotion, your chain of command. The same way all the enlisted folks hang together, all the O's hang together. So any O's that you see, and by O's I mean officers, regardless whether it's a brand new butter bar lieutenant or if it's a full bird, 06 colonel, maximum respect, maximum courtesies at all times. Because there's nothing for them to make a phone call. Hey man, I heard your troop was out there, carrying on and making a fool of himself when I asked nobody. He got a little attitude. I don't think that's becoming of an airman. And a phone call like that is all it takes for your commander to be like, all right, you want to be out in the street and embarrass me? I ain't promoting nothing. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen, and I'm not going to say it does happen. But the opportunity exists for it to happen. So I'm letting you know, you see any O's, it ain't about nothing for somebody to pick up the phone, make a phone call, and you be stuck dead in your tracks. And that's why that written thing is there. They need to tell you why it is you're not progressing. But know that is a possibility. It can happen. Just little hint of advice from this Larry, trying to help y'all out as new guy coming in. So other than pissing off the wrong person, what else can hold you up? If you're about to retire, separate, stop working, like whatever, if you're gonna leave 6 months after your promotion or within 6 months, like, hey, listen, I'm done at 3 months, but I'm up for promotion. Don't ask. They're not promoting if you're leaving within the next 6 months. Now, if you're E3 and E4 and below and you about to leave, something's probably wrong, be honest with you, but that isn't a reg that if you about to leave in 6 months, they're not promoting you. Secondly, court-martial. If you were subject to court-martial, I believe it's a year within that or whenever the punishment period is, you're not getting promoted. I'm speaking on that. If you got a court-martial and you under E4, you messed up and you messed up bad. So you shouldn't be asking for a promotion. That's like somebody being on trial for murder and like asking like, hey, can we get pizza in jail? I think you have more important things to worry about. That shouldn't be in your mind. How about you shut up, stay in your lane, focus on the things at hand. And Other than that, if you have a referral EPR or two, which is EPR is enlisted performance report. Basically, it's your report card that comes out every 2 years. You got to write down, you may have some bullets, and it's all the stuff you did for 2 years and why you're great. Or a referral EPR is like, hey, you suck, and here's why we say you suck. I'm using a euphemism, but that's a referral. Referral just means you're bad. You messed something up. And if you have a 2 or less rating out of 5, you're pretty trash. Most people start at a 3, so you got like kind of go out of your way to get a 2. Like, and as an E, like under E4, the expectations are very, very low for you. So if you have a 2 and you're that far below, it's a problem. And secondly, you have to be current for fitness. Fit to fight, you will always hear about. If you don't like running, doing push-ups or sit-ups, learn to love them. Everybody sucks at something. Whatever it is you suck at, do more of it. That's all I can tell you. And you have to be current with like medical and dental. So the medical and dental, constant training. Make sure you keep up on that stuff. Those are the things that can disqualify you. Now, out of all that crap that can hold you up, if you're E4 below, you're not doing EPRs. Not in reserves. It's no longer a requirement. If you got a court martial, you got bigger problems. So you shouldn't be watching this. If you got a court martial, you messed up. You messed up bad. Out of all that stuff, the main things that you got to worry about is fitness, medical, and dental. That's it. As long as you can stay healthy, you're pretty much good. The rest of that stuff doesn't apply. You're not doing EPRs. You're not getting the court martial because you're not a bad guy. You're not going to piss off any O's, and you're not going to have anyone above your commander looking to say, no, you can't get promoted. So yeah, just stay healthy. Stay healthy. That's all you gotta do. Pretty much stay healthy. Don't break nothing, nobody. That includes yourself, and you should be good. One more thing. There's something in here that a lot of people gloss over, and I want to highlight that. You can't have any unexcused absences for the prior 12 months. So what does that mean? You know you got to come in once a month. Be here. Life happens. I get it. If your job is giving you crap or something comes up, make it work. Talk to your supervisor, talk to your first sergeant, make it work. Be here. You just got started. You know what you signed up for. You need to be here. That's all there's to it. If you get an unexcused absence, you can't get promoted for a year. Sucks, but I've seen people held up for that. And that is universal. Like, that requirement doesn't go away. Like, I looked for E4s and below, but I'm like 99% sure it's for everybody. So like, if you want to make like master sergeant or something, like E7 or E8, and you got an unexcused in the prior 12 months, that's gonna hold you up. So just show up to work. So let's look at the requirements so far. Stay healthy. Don't break anyone or yourself. Don't break other stuff. Like, if you need help, ask for it, and show up for work. As you can see, the first 4 ain't asking for much. All you gotta do is come in, learn your job, and do it safely. All right, so now we know who promotes you, who can hold you up, and the things that can hold you up. What do you need specifically for each rank? So if you're an E1 and you want to be an E2, all you need is 6 months as an E1. That's it. Stay healthy, show up to work, and be there for 6 months, and it's pretty much yours. Like, the only requirement to make E2 is to be an E1 for 6 months. That's not bad. So you really can't screw that up. Just stay away from disqualifiers. After 6 months, it's pretty much yours, as long as your commander approves it. E3, another 6 months. 6 months as an E2, go on E3. It's the only on paper requirement. After 6 months, commander approves it. The first like E1, E2, E2 to E3, that first couple ranks, your only job is to learn your job. That's it. You're not supervising nobody. You're not in charge of much of anything except your own 2 butt cheeks. All you got to do is learn your job and stay healthy. That's it. Show up to work, stay healthy, learn a job. Again, you're just getting started. It's not a whole lot being asked of you. It's not hard to do. Finally, we get to E4. The E4 Mafia. That's an inside joke. If you in, you get it. If you're not, you won't. I promise you it's going to make sense. Without going too deep into it, the whole E4 Mafia thing, E4s get it done. E4s are the workhorses of the Air Force, period. I mean, I feel very comfortable saying it, even though I'm not an E4 anymore, is E4s get it done. When you need work done, you need somebody like, for like my career field for 2C2, if somebody's pushing pallets, driving vehicles, actually loading the aircraft, E4s is putting in work. When I was an E4, that's what I did. I was in ramp, so I was out on the flight line, I was moving cargo. it had to get done. We was out there humping. I'm saying we do the thing. They do the thing. So E4s get a lot of respect because everybody know they're the workhorse. They're the backbone of any career field. I feel very confident saying that. But to make it into the E4 mafia, you want to make it to E4, you need 8 months as an E3. Now, so you got it from 8. So you come in, you do 6 months as an E2, got another 6 months as an E. You do 6 months as an E1, another 6 months as an E2, another 8 months as an E3. Then you progress to E4. Additionally, you're gonna need 1 good year. Now, what constitutes a good year? You need 50 points. Without getting too much into the weeds, you gotta be there every weekend and do your annual tour, your little 2 weeks, whenever it comes up. They say in the summer, ain't always in the summer, but show up to work, do the 2 weeks like you are contracted to do, be an E3 for 8 months, and then have a 3 skill level. Now, this is gonna vary depending upon your job. Like with my job, when we come in, we're a 1 skill level. After tech school, we're a 3 skill level. I've seen some jobs where you come in as a 3 skill level. You need a 3 skill level, which is gonna depend upon the job you pick, 8 months as an E3, and then 1 good year behind you. And you can make it into the E4 mafia. Simple. That's junior listed right there. That's all there is to it. In closing, a couple things you need to know are things that I wish I knew. Number 1, read your regs. Regs are boring, regs are dry. They're available online. Like there's a site called EPUBs where it's like a repository of all the regulations. You can Google whatever regulation it is. Like the Airforce Promotion AFI, I'm gonna put it down underneath here. You can Google it, and when it pulls it up, make sure it says e-publishing. I'll show you a sample of what that looks like. It might be on the screen now, either here, or I don't know, I'm gonna do it all in editing. But make sure that you go to EPUBs, e-publishing, which is like the Air Force repository, read your regulations. Because that is in black and white what has to happen. I don't care what your supervisor says. I don't care what senior master. I don't care what anyone says. That's the reg. It's not negotiable. Everyone has to follow the reg. If you can show one in black and white exactly what it is, what you need to do, cool. So like, let's say you're an E2 and you want to get promoted to E3. You've got your 6 months, but your commander's not promoting you. Per the reg, they have to tell you why in writing. It's in there. I'm going to highlight it and put it up again because I think that's very important that people know. So if you're not progressing, your commander says, hey, here's why I'm not promoting you in writing. Now, if he gives you a bullshit reason, you know, you've got it in writing, so you do with that whatever it is that you need to. But that's like, those are the things you need to know your regulations, stay healthy, work out. Like if you're not a gym rat, you're going to become one. Whatever part of your PT that you do the worst on, like if you're one of the people who get like 90s all the time, outstanding, good for you. Everybody has at least one component where they don't do the best. Everything can't be 100 unless you Iron Man or Thor or something, whatever you Avenger. Welcome to the Air Force, Captain America. But whatever part of your PT you struggle with, focus on that, make that better, because it will only get harder as you get older. Stay healthy, come to work, read your regs, focus on learning your job. As a reservist, it's difficult to be a reservist because you have a civilian job where you have to learn, develop, progress, because that's where your money comes from. And you have the reserves, which is the hardest part-time job you're ever gonna have. And I hate calling it part-time because it's never just part-time. The higher up you go, the more time you will spend doing stuff for your uniform, even when it's not on the weekends. It is what it is. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So it's the hardest part-time job you ever have. But if you, those first 4, focus on your job, staying healthy, and coming to work, and you should be good. Make sure you communicate with your supervisor, communicate with your chain of command. Those people in your chain, they should know who you are. So like your supervisor, your section supervisor, your NCO, I see your non-commissioned officer in charge, your flight chief, your first sergeant commander. They're gonna seem intimidating. They people. They put their pants on one leg at a time, put their uniform on one sleeve at a time, unless they do like some double sleeve thing like they Batman or something, but whatever. All right, sir, permission to enter. Like, you'll go through all that in basic, speak to these people, learn who they are. If you have questions, ask. Always follow your chain of command, like start with supervisors, but everybody in that chain you need to know and develop rapport with. They people. It's gonna seem intimidating first, but you gotta get to know them. We're gonna have a part 2 where I go over staffs and techs, and we'll have a part 3 for the senior NCOs, But that's the main thing, man. If the video was helpful, leave me a like. If you got comments, questions, concerns, leave them down in the comments below. We could talk about it. But I'm Larry, I'm a veteran banker, and once a month I'm gonna do these. Y'all gonna see me in uniform, and I'm gonna go over something in uniform that I think would be beneficial for people to see. I'll see y'all next time for the 5-6. See you.